So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day to everybody. Welcome to this Fireside Chat with from Startup Luxembourg with Jonas MERCIER. But first, a few housekeeping notes. What is Startup Grind? We are one of the biggest communities of entrepreneurs in the world, and we give it to our mission to give companies everywhere the education and the opportunities they need to build, grow, and scale their companies. And our values, we match them as believing in making friends, not contacts, in giving first, not taking, and in helping others before helping ourselves. During this fireside chat, you will be able to ask your questions in the Q&A. I will pick them up, and afterwards you can review the fireside chat. But now, without further ado, I would like to welcome Jonas MERCIER from Startup Luxembourg. Hello, Jonas.
Hello, Steve.
Thank you for joining us. So today, there may be a few attendees who don't know what Startup Luxembourg is. Could you just tell really in a nutshell what Startup Luxembourg is without delving into the details?
Yes, of course. Startup Luxembourg is the national initiative aiming at representing the ecosystem, Luxembourg startup ecosystem, and promoting it outside Luxembourg, but as well in Luxembourg. So in a nutshell, yes, I can go into details, but maybe later.
Now I guess we will get deeper a little bit. So let's get to where it all starts, because if you look at the entrepreneurial journey, there's generally a common thread. It is, you have the idea, you see that there's something happening, and then you go for it. You take the guts to do it, and then you have to implement it. It's turning the first users into customers. Afterwards, there come a few challenges, and one of the challenges is scaling, developing the company further. That is where we will stick a little bit further later on. But if we start a little bit at the beginning, let's say this ideation discovery phase, from Startup Luxembourg's point of view, what are the early stage support and pitfalls you generally see in that phase? And especially those who are looking afterwards to go international, to go cross-border. In the very early phases of a company, what do you see, or what would you say, okay, what could be prepared there in order to be able to go further?
I think that sorry, in Luxembourg we are lucky because we have been working on this early stage phase for more than 10 years with a highly involved public authority side. So the government and the Ministry of the Economy was highly involved in that, and so we have tried to really focus on the different needs of the startups. And what was obvious while creating and starting a company was to be aware of the way a startup is working, because it's a specific companies, not using the traditional models in terms of growth and conceptions, design of the product than a traditional one. And so for that, you need coaching. You need to have these people that know how it works and help you go through this mindset. First of all, we really believe that at some point, and at maybe the whole journey, money is important, but the time as well for the founders, it's important. So letting them, access very quickly the right information and the right coaches was very important for the government. What we have built in Luxembourg is the Fit for Start program. So it's a quite unique program in Europe, because it comes with highly skilled coaches, international coaches, with independent jury. It's an acceleration program, first of all, so to be said. And it's combined with public funding. So it's quite unique because it's give you, first of all, this experts in the startup world on different topics. And it comes with this public funding that is very important at early stages. So that's Fit for Start, a key element in our ecosystem. And what has been done as well was that in a healthy ecosystem, I would say it's very important to have a well balance between private and public players and initiatives. So in the same times where we have been, trying to attract private initiative, so we can offer diverse services for startups, because some of them will not fit or will not look for this specific Fit for Start acceleration program, which is 6 months. You have to be involved in that, so it's quite tough. And some founders are on different maybe side of knowledge. They don't need to go through that, for instance, so they could have access to another services from private players. Or Fit for Start could be too late already. They need to have more, ideation work, and there are other private founders that can fill in this needs as well. So that would be my answer to this question.
Thank you very much. And now if we go a little bit to the next phase on the entrepreneurial journey, let's say this validation, the minimal viable product, the MVP. In what you see at Startup Luxembourg, when companies in Luxembourg are building the MVP and seeking initial validation, I mean, it's nice to have validation, but Luxembourg is a small market. How do you help them to connect with diverse test markets, or if you do it, or if early adopters which go beyond local borders, not only in Luxembourg but a little bit beyond? What could you say there? What would you say which would be something where Startup Luxembourg could assist them?
There is not plenty, but a lot of players active in this ecosystem in Luxembourg. Lux Innovation, of course, which is running the Fit for Start we just discussed. We had the Chamber of Commerce, which has as well incubators with the House of Startups, but the House of the Chamber of Commerce, is as well organizing international trade missions and trade fairs for all companies, including startups, but not only. And there is the Ministry of the Economy as well, which is having some initiatives. So what we are trying to do with Startup Luxembourg is really to ease, once again, we combat at, earning not only money, but time, to ease the understanding of who is doing what, and where can I, as a founder, access the right service I need. And depending of your stage, what we really want to do is to be this first point of contact into the ecosystem, where founders will be able, to just ask us through the form we have on internet, through an email, through a phone call. Okay, I'm here, I'm stuck, or I'm looking for this kind of services. Tell me what is happening in the ecosystem and where I can go. And this is really, I think, important in the ecosystem, having these players that just being here to connect, to promote, and to connect with the right partners. So it's very important for us to have we have this clear vision of the ecosystem, understanding. We know everybody by name, so the connection can be made very easily. And what we are trying to do is really to encourage the founders and the different players to do not hesitate to reach out to us for any kind of questions. At this level of scaling up, going maybe, starting selling the product, and in Luxembourg, we are selling not only in Luxembourg, but outside Luxembourg, the companies are international from day one. So this needs is, I think, there are two things there. There is the Chamber of Commerce which is organizing this this national pavilion at different fairs during the years. Specific years, there is one startup fairs, Vivatech, where we have a national pavilion where we bring together 12 company startups usually, so they have their own desk, on the national pavilion. So it's quite good visibility. But we have as well this specialized fair where we will have a national pavilion. It could be on health tech, it could be on clean tech, on industrial technologies as well. And on each of these national pavilion, so we are working working together with the Chamber of Commerce and the Ministry of the Economy. So it's a joint initiative each time. We have put in place a startup corner where the startups can have a desk as well. So linked to their sectors, they will go to these specific events with a specific desk, and this is a lower price for startups. So it's a huge opportunity for them to have visibility. So this is the first point. So I would say that it's important for the startups to use this kind of opportunities, trade fairs. So national pavilion, but as well trade fairs. Sometimes we don't have national pavilion, but the Chamber of Commerce will organize a trade fair visit, so you can be part of the delegation. And same during these trade fairs, we have introduction. We are visiting some important players, important companies in the trade fairs. So it's a very good opportunity for startups to access some important companies, or to get this visibility. So this is something to be used, I would say. And there is through Startup Luxembourg on the Chamber of Commerce website, there is the Go International agenda. So you will know exactly where and in which format the Chamber of Commerce and Luxembourg will go during all year long. And maybe a last point of that topic, we have as well Office Ducroire here in Luxembourg, which will help companies, startups, not only startups, but startups, of course, to get some funding for marketing purposes. So whenever you go to a fair with the Chamber of Commerce, with Luxembourg, with Startup Luxembourg, or alone, you can get some public funding for your marketing, expenses. Could be printing flyers or every kind of marketing expenses. So it's available at Office Ducroire.
Thank you. And I can only recommend the Office Ducroire because in my career we also used it with one of the other companies, and it really assists you. The other thing is, it's one thing to know that you can go abroad and you can participate in trade fairs, in trade missions, get assistance or support by the Office Ducroire and other institutions and so on. But how, let's say you have a company, you have a product, and you would like to scale across abroad the Luxembourgish market. How do you select the markets? Is there something? What is the common thread which is coming always back? How would you see that? It's the question would be how to select the markets, because it's one thing I have. I guess I know where I go, but shall I go immediately over the pond, or shall I look first at the greater region? What is it? What you see, or what from your experience, what you have seen, which you would a little bit suggest, and what have you seen?
I would say that it depends of each company, each startups, depending of its product services, could have different targeted markets. It could work in Germany more than in France, or the other way around, or it could be England or Portugal, and France and Germany are not interested at this point. So it depends really on the projects we have. But what is the beauty, and I would recommend, and I will all my life recommend to founders, to the beauty of Luxembourg is having all this open business and diverse community. And every single company is almost in Luxembourg is making business with foreign countries. So it's very important, and it's not a shame. It has to be used from the founders to just ask other founders, how did you do? You are already in Germany. It is the right market. What was your, challenges? You start with these cities. Tell me more, the greater region and so on. We have really founders and entrepreneurs. I think it's almost every single cities outside Luxembourg in Europe. So it's really an important knowledge that has to be used by founders. And how to reach out to these founders? There is plenty of social events in the startup ecosystem, but whenever you are part of an incubator or a community, depending on your sectors, it will be as well really easy for the CEO of the incubators, or for us as well as Startup Luxembourg, Lux Innovation, Chamber of Commerce, to know these companies. So if you don't know how to start, just ask us and say, okay, I'm in this field looking to expand in these countries. Do you know another entrepreneurs that could, be more or less in the same situation, that has been in the same situation, so I can discuss with him? And that is for me key, because it really depends of the project, the objectives, ambition of the startups. Could be a good idea to enter directly the German market.
The other thing is, I mean, you touched a little bit upon it, is the thing about the hurdles. There are probably hurdles. You said a little bit, okay, talk to others and go and think, but are there something what should not be underestimated? What would be an advice for somebody who would go, let's say, first in Europe, and say, what is something which they should not underestimate as a company? Moving out of their national market, let's call it comfort zone, to the border. Is there something you would say, or some things you would say, which are not so, which shouldn't be as underestimated? Is it regulatory? Is it logistics? I don't know.
Yes, there are quite a few, and these steps of going international is a very important step for a company, and it doesn't have to be underestimated indeed. First of all is, I would say, about the execution. So it will be a new market. It's almost a new startups to be built. So to be aware, the founder to be aware that they have to have clear objectives, maybe not too ambitious at the very beginning, to be sure that they will be able to execute them and very properly. So first of all, yes, being first aware of which country will be the first one and which region will be the first one, or city. That's very important to have this discussion before, and to really properly and carefully select the right region to start with, I would say. It's very important, and it would be one of my points, to be in touch with the investors. Investors, they have a huge, knowledge and network that has to be leveraged by the company. So it's very important that to be in touch and to interact with their VCs and investors. So yes, having in mind that the execution is key. So not being too ambitious, but very clear on that. And that after that, to indeed, you mentioned the regulation and being aware of the legal framework that is in the respective countries. I do believe that on that side we have as well plenty of consultancy offices and other lawyers here that are very aware of what is happening outside Luxembourg. Same is the beauty of Luxembourg, because all companies are working with abroad, and you have to ask these guys here in Luxembourg. You don't have necessarily to go in Germany or France and Belgium to be aware of this kind of elements, information you can start asking here. So it's a good point as well. And yes, for my side, once again, it's very different depending of the project. So this would be my main advices.
On the other hand, very often one is told, or also from experience, I notice it's sometimes easier to find a local partner, I mean, abroad, to find a local partner with whom you partner up, so you don't put all your eggs in one basket, but you need, because this partner knows the local market. I mean, across border, this partner knows his local market. But also there's probably also a threat to hook up with a partner, because you lose a little bit of, how shall I say, your independence. Is that something you have already noticed with some companies who went abroad, eventually went the road for partnership in order, on the one hand, to test, and on the other hand, to move faster, but then they were a little bit, how shall I say, tight, or they had the handcuffs a little bit, because they didn't clearly look at the exclusivity, the intellectual property rights, the sales rights, and so on. Is that something you have come across already?
Yes, a few times, and once again, even if I'm sorry to come back to this all the time, but once again, it depends of the project, because sometimes I have been in touch, for instance, what our selling point for Luxembourg. I'm in touch with a lot of international funders looking to expand, and I try to tell them what are the benefits of coming to Luxembourg and see if it fits. And sometimes they told me that it doesn't fit. For instance, and that the same schemes for Luxembourg companies going abroad. I was in touch with Quanto. Quanto, it's a fintech unicorn, French unicorn fintech, providing us financial services and dashboards for SMEs. And so we are very big in France, and they start, they enter the German market. And I met them in Germany, and I told them what Luxembourg wouldn't be for you a right hub if you were looking to expand in Germany and in other countries. And they told us that there is a very good offer in Luxembourg for sure, but it doesn't fit with the needs, because they had to be in Germany and work with local players, so having partnerships, because for accessing this market of SMEs, and mainly even more in Germany, they needed this trust of having local based players that can trust with, because they have been in touch, they have been working with for several times now. So for Quanto, having a hub, in Luxembourg to manage their operation into Germany was not an option for them. They needed to be on the ground and to work with local partners, so companies that were more or less able to implement their services, or that were their sometimes competitors, and whether they bought it, whether they find an agreement in a way. But they needed to have this local relay in a way, because this trust was very important to expand their business. Other companies, and I will take another example, it's not a Luxembourg-based company, it is now, but it is this delivery company Volt. So they come and they establish activities here in Luxembourg. So it's a unicorn. It's a huge company. So maybe we are not speaking only of this kind of companies, but these are two examples. They come to Luxembourg. They were already established players in the food delivery sectors, and they did not try to find any collaboration. They just come with a lot of marketing efforts, to put their product and to try to make a difference on their user experience, and so trying to win the market like this. So it really depends of the sector you are active in and your product. What is maybe to be mentioned and important is that usually when you are going into this new phase of your venture, you raise money because entering a new market will need a lot of money. So you are raising money, being in touch with investors, and once you sign, so be careful of choosing the right one, and once you sign, use their network and their expertise. But we have in Luxembourg something national funding that can help as well. The name is the Young Innovative Enterprise, and the idea behind that it's free equity funding. So it's without diluting the capital of the company. It can go up to 800k euros, so it's quite a big public funding. But it's matching equity funding, meaning that the government will say, okay, if you manage as a founder to convince an investors that your solution and your strategy to go international is the right one, and they will put money, we will follow you with this money. And it's quite interesting because you can, convince the VC to say, okay, put your money, but we have the possibility to add this public no diluting money. So it's quite interesting, and in the same time it's giving you this amount of money that will make you sure that you can you can execute well by hiring people that will be in charge of this new market. And maybe last point, once again, we come back to Luxembourg specificity of having this half of the population of residents, being from another country, to rely on natives. I mean, you want to go to Germany, be sure that in your team in Luxembourg, you have this German profile that will help you understand the market. And they will tell you, okay, in Germany, maybe it's better to work with local partners. In Belgium, we can start, without, because it's very close and we are, having the same culture, maybe language, I don't know. Italy, it might be different, and so on and so forth.
Thank you very much. On the other hand, there is also taking the questions which pop up in the Q&A. And there was one thing I also experienced it is if you go abroad, sometimes there is an advantage to establish a local subsidy in that country than to operate out of Luxembourg. Is that something which is generically happening? Is that something which puts more constraint, or it's more difficult, it becomes more complex, and so on? What is your point of view, or from your experience, what you have seen, I mean, with Startup Luxembourg on that issue?
I do believe that, as mentioned, it's tough steps for companies to enter a new market. So they really have to have all the needed information, being in touch already with local players to make sure that this is the right place, the right market, and the right time. So it's very important to take this time, to not go too fast. I would recommend to start working from Luxembourg and starting to having the first clients without having a local office. That is what we meet quite often with Luxembourg, with foreign companies we are in touch with. They are interested in Luxembourg and they say, okay, I would like to open my office here. That's for sure. I have all the information and that's part of my strategy. But before I, paid someone that will be on site, having an office and so on. I would like to have 1, 2, or 3 customers. Could you help me? And usually we are not doing business development, of course, but we are giving maybe the first contact with potential partners, clients, to help them, having this first hands in a way to get into our market. And there are plenty of players such as Startup Luxembourg in cities and countries around in Europe. So use them as well to tell them, okay, I want to create something. They are very interesting and very interesting in having new startups coming. Every country and every cities want to have more startups, and they will be able usually to help you on that regard, telling you exactly what is happening and what could be a few potential players, customers, for you. And so it's a good first step to have this first client that will generate revenue, so you can after that be more confident in opening your office.
Okay, thank you. We are coming slightly to the end, so we are coming a little bit in wrapping up the thing. But what is, let's say with Startup Luxembourg, what would be one of the biggest, let's call it learnings, or most surprising insights from observing these companies which attempt to scale across borders? For you as Jonas and or as Startup Luxembourg.
A learning, you mean?
Yeah, with hindsight, when you look back a little bit, and what struck you most, saying, whoa, that is really impressive, or I wasn't aware of that, or you gave us a few of your insights already, but is there something where you really say, wow, that is something which surprised me? Seeing a company trying to scale across borders.
No, we are starting. We are quite young startup ecosystem, but we are starting in the last 2 years, I would say, to see more and more scale-ups and very good examples of scale-ups. And I could mention we know them, but for me it's a very good example. It's the Salonkee. I met them at the very beginning. Okay, it was a nice solution, to be able to book your rendezvous at the hairdresser or beauty salons. And they are now in 5 countries, leaders in 5 countries. We are more than 250 employees. They are huge, having the offices in these 5 countries. They went through Fit for Start, and what I would say is part of their success is, first of all, they benefit, or they took advantage of all the advantages of our ecosystem. They went through Fit for Start. They access VC funds, so they got visibility through Fit for Start. They design and they structure their product and go-to-market strategy. They got their funding, VC funding from the Digital Tech Fund, which is a local VC funds that invests only in local companies. After that, they managed to get this. They use all the advantages through Lux Innovation and others. So it was interesting to see that slowly and with patience they managed to grow. And what was the other very interesting thing I saw is that their product evolved with the market, meaning that at the very beginning it was this app that I can use as the final users, but slowly they develop all the infrastructures for beauty salons and hairdressers to manage the agenda, of course, but the payments, but the HR stuff. I mean, they have a whole catalog of services for not the end users, which would be us, but the founders, the entrepreneurs that are running these hairdressers and beauty salons. So they get connected to the needs of the market, and they build their product, they improve their product during the time.
Thank you. And now to finish off, if you would have this magic ball which forecasts the future, and you would have a magic wand, and with this magic wand you could click on it, touch it, and you would see what you would like to see. What would it be?
For me, in Luxembourg and maybe in Europe, is to have more people that will dare to create their startups. We are seeing that in the different events, such as the Startup Apero of Silicon, where we have more and more people from corporate, working in corporate, that get interested into the startup ecosystem with an idea, creating their startups. They are not sure, they are trying, they are, getting all this information. And I do believe that quantity have, if all these people, daring, starting their companies, would definitely help the ecosystem to grow, because this is what we are missing. We are seeing more and more very interested cases, but still they are the number is too small. And we know we have potential, and we know we have these resources of the Luxembourg, Luxembourg people, but all the foreigners as well that are living in Luxembourg, and that make a huge pool of ideas, with the different cultural aspects and the experience and the expertise we have. So we have a huge potential, and I would like to see more and more initiative coming, more startups being created. And I do believe that with that, we will attract more VCs. We are working on that. We are sure that we will have the VC, but what we need is to have more startups, more projects, more services and products.
Well, thank you very much, Jonas, for sharing your insights on how to scale across borders, especially also to giving more insights on Startup Luxembourg, and looking forward to more endeavoring and daring entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me, Steve.
It was a pleasure.